Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. It's your girl Fee on YouTube, and this is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Y'all, this is a Pro Boston Pro Jesus Loving channel. Over here, we talk everything Boston. We talk everything Christ. We plug him in anywhere we can, and that's everywhere because he's everywhere. You heard me? So, sixth round, Fundora got Keith Thurman up out of there. Keith Thurman tried. Now, the one time Keith Thurman he tried. But this was a situation where reach and maybe even height and definitely strength just overcame experience and, shit talking. You know what I'm saying? Fundora 100% earned this win. I don't know. What was funny was to watch. First of all, let me shout out Keith Thurman for being at the post presser with both eyes pretty much almost shut. They tried to say he broke his whatever the bone that's around the eyeball. They tried to say he broke that. He said he didn't. He also said that they need to get a new referee because that referee don't need to be refereeing no major fights like that. You know what I'm saying? Because the ref had told him before the fight, long as you still on your feet and this and that, and if you still can go, I'm gonna keep you in there. Is basically what Keith Thurman said, and he basically was saying that the referee didn't keep his word. And so, how before the fights the referees go check gloves and check everything and this and the other and tell him how he going. You know what I'm saying? Referee the fight and stuff like that. And he's saying that the referee ain't keep his word, but it was funny to hear him say that he could have kept going with both of his eyes pretty much beaten, battered the way it was, and pretty much just beat shut. You know what I'm saying? But Keith Thurman, kudos to him for showing up at the presser, because these suckers don't even be showing up at the pressers when they lose, and it don't be because they're hurt. It be because physically, it be because they hurt, they pride hurt. You know what I'm saying? But there was a time where you had to be at that post presser. You know what I'm saying? Whether you win, lose, or draw. And these fighters been acting like a bunch of suckers lately concerning that. But Keith Thurman, was there. You know what I'm saying? But the fight was pretty quick for the most part. You know what I'm saying? And it was easy work for Fundora. And so everybody's saying it's Fundora the best at 154. And I would have to give it to Fundora. You know what I'm saying? He is, I would say he proved himself tonight, but he proved himself a few fights ago, And this is a man that has taken L. You know what I'm saying? But he's got it also, I think he's like, he wears glasses, so he got something with his eyesight. I don't know if he's nearsighted, farsighted. Regardless, he's a perseverer. You know what I'm saying? And he ain't no chump. And I appreciate Fundora, point blank period. He's never in the media talking crazy. You know what I'm saying? Doing no real serious ducking like that. Not to my knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Not no serious ducking. So, I mean, shit, kudos to Fundora, period. I appreciate, this fight so much. Keith Thurman for giving us this fight, and making it entertaining for the most part. And, I'm looking forward to see who's next for Fundora, okay? So, y'all remember, I reported that, Ronnie Shields and Errol Spence and Jamal Charlo were all seen basically training together and getting their work in together, chopping up, taking pictures together and things like that. So recently, Jamal Charlo, I believe that was yesterday, he was in his whip, and y'all know he like to talk crazy in his whip, just like your girl. But he was in his whip, and he was saying basically like, he the real deal. He the real big Charlo. He the real Charlo. Whatever. And at the end of the day, that's family business. I don't like to get in family business, but I just feel like, Jamal is my favorite. I'm not gonna speak when I used to speak on it a lot back then, when I really seen the rift and stuff like that. But I'm older now. You know what I'm saying? And instead I'll just big up who I fuck with, and I fuck with Jamal. There was a time where Jamal was my favorite in personality and Jamel was my favorite fighter, but now Jamel's not my favorite anything. And all of the admiration will go to Jamal. And I'm gonna continue to root for him and wish him well. and believe God for him, point blank period, because I do believe, at heart Jamal is a good guy. You know what I'm saying? Who's just, trying to overcome and persevere some things. And I'm glad he has a person like Ronnie Shields in his corner. I'm glad Errol Spence over there getting that work in. I genuinely and truly believe that Errol Spence, you know, is doing this, number one, for himself, because Texas like to stick together, but also because he might actually be concerned with Jamal and want to be there for him. You know what I'm saying? And I can appreciate him for that. I would like to think that. That's all. Y'all know I'm the reach queen. I reach for the sun, the moon, and the stars, and I already said this. And y'all know I'm repetitive and redundant, but it is what it is. I would like to think that you know, he wanna get that work in with Ronnie Shields the Great, and also just, you know what I'm saying, be close to Jamal. I feel like he made a lot of money off his last fight with Crawford. He bought horses. I think he bought a ranch. Spent a lot of time with his family, and I think that he knows what's really important now. And I just think it's a good look. It's not a bad look. You know what I'm saying? Jamel say they don't have no bad. He don't have no bad blood with Errol, but he said he'll fight me, this and the other. It's just like, but you said it too. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what's the big deal? You know what I'm saying? Both of y'all fell out with Derrick James. Y'all both not with him no more. Y'all have things in common. Why they're not talking, I don't know. However, Jamel seems to be obnoxious. So I feel like that's really what it is. He's obnoxious, and he's mean spirited, and you know, don't nobody want to deal with all that. Sometimes people just want to be able to come around you and relax, and he's always amped up and talking crazy, and people get sick of that shit. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. But him and Rolly Ramiro, one, who couldn't out talk his ass, who always trying to talk, is Rolly Ramiro. When they ran into each other at the fight, he couldn't out talk. Rolly Ramiro couldn't out talk no more Jamel Charlo. So it was good to see Rolly Ramiro shut his motherfucking trap for once. You know what I'm saying? And get out talked by a real talker. You get what I'm saying? So that was good to see. They asked him who he got between Ryan Garcia and Rolly Ramiro, and he was like, no, was it Devin Haney? Yeah, Devin Haney and Rolly Ramiro. And Rolly and Jamel kept it G. He was like, shit, Devin got that, you know what I'm saying? And then he proceeded to disrespect Bill Haney, called Bill Haney the B word, but he said Devin is that guy. Devin would beat Rolly Ramiro, and I concur. You know what I'm saying? I concur. That's it. That's all. Even though it's interesting to me that Rolly Ramiro did beat Ryan Garcia, I just find that real interesting. Also, Blue Blood, shout out Blue, ran into Rolly Ramiro. Rolly Ramiro was like, you very nonchalant and, very uninterested in really talking to Blue. It was all in his energy and stuff. We was talking to him and getting smart with Blue and stuff like that. And I just was screaming at the TV like, Blue, just get the fuck away from this nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, all you gotta do is give me a bell. I said, all right, Rolly, I'll holler at you. And keep it moving. Like, Rolly is another one who's not a nice person, who's also, a mean-spirited guy. You know what I'm saying? Nobody want to always hear all that negative talk and all that being a jerk all the time. It's okay to talk shit, but just, I like a straightforward talk shit person. I don't like nobody who, take shots where it's not necessary, like how he used to be calling Terrence Crawford ugly stuff. All that stuff right there is unnecessary. Let's talk shit about the boxing. Let's talk shit about, you know what I'm saying, maybe something that happened between y'all that you pissed about. When you start taking low blows and stuff like the Rolly Ramiro's, the Jamel Charlo, all them boys like that, it just looks, even Tank, it looks pathetic, and it looks like, you doing that chatty patty shit that Damon Dash used to be talking about. Because really, that's a woman trait. That's what we do, right? So anyway, I just hated to see Blue just kind of get Blue off like that. He was kind of disrespectful. I ain't like it, and I just wish Blue would have walked away from his goofy ass. But he didn't, and he got the info, and Rolly hinted at that it might be a Ryan Garcia and a Rolly Ramiro part 2. So I don't know. Am I interested in seeing that? Kind of, sort of, because I feel like Ryan can beat Rolly. You know what I'm saying? But we gonna see what's up. You know what I'm saying? We gonna see what's up. But anyway, that's all I got. Y'all come below. What say you? Let me know what's up. You know what I'm saying? How y'all feel about these topics? Y'all have an amazing evening. Peace.